All right, welcome back to Turn Zero, everyone. Over the last 3 weeks, our players have built a list for all four factions as if they were going to a store tournament. Last week, we saw the showdown between Copes and Mike, and now we're bringing you the final match between Josh and Keegan. Before we kick off any Turn Zeros, let's review the map our players will be using. So they'll be using the same map we used last week, the Geonosis map, with the large, heavy cover rock placements. The scattered pieces of LAAT around the center of the board with some light craters and some light cover scattered and sprinkled around the board. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Blue player was won by Keegan. He had a bid of 18 points. Or I assume he's going to take blue player with that bid.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I apparently overbidded for a droid player, but maybe there's another one at this tournament that'll.
Better safe than sorry. Which table side are you taking?
This is an interesting one, especially going up against this droid list that has a lot of also range 2 and range 3 focus, but the speed of the steps kind of encouraged me that I want to get as much opportunity for cover as possible. I'm probably going to stick with the top. I think that there's more deployment area when I look at my, my bottom right corner from that perspective. So the top left corner that's in cover and allows me to do some things. And then when I look at the risk of disarray, that's the same corners no matter what, and I don't like those corners, so I'm just going to eat it.
All right. So Josh, what do you think about your table edge?
I think I would have preferred top only because you have that really large piece at about 9 o'clock from the center for major offensive that gives me a lot of cover. Luckily, we're mostly going to be playing a range 2, range 3 game, so I think those more peripheral pieces aren't going to matter as much. So I'm actually happy with bottom given where the wing of that downed LAAT is at. If we end up something on like battle lines or advanced positions, that does kind of cut, that does provide some line of sight blocking terrain, so I think it might be okay. I would have rather had top, but I mean, I didn't bid enough.
Darn. All right, so we have our battle deck here. So starting with the conditions from left to right, we've got supply drop, limited visibility, and hostile environment. Deployments, we have battle lines, disarray, and advanced positions. And for the objectives, we have breakthrough, recover the supplies, and intercept the transmissions. This is a really good pull, I think, for both of these lists. There's a lot of cool things here that they have similar battle decks, and this is going to be a real fun one. What do you guys think of the initial pull here?
The first thing that I noticed, of course, when I built the list, I talked about it in list building. Bombing run feels like the most fun, but against this opponent, not having bombing run on the table so that 3 steps don't get bombs feels pretty okay to me. I think that there's some. This I don't think this is a slam dunk either way. I think that there's a couple different ways that we can veto that that can end up either being a really good advantage or a really real disadvantage for me. So I'm looking forward to this.
So as I said when the list building episode, I went 790 because most of the droid lists are going to be carrying the same objectives with me, or I was going to be playing rebels, and so I'm kind of happy seeing this right here. And just messing with you, Keegan. No, but in reality, seeing this draw, one thing I like to say is that red player does control that second column, and my least favorable of each of the conditions, objectives, and deployments are all in that second column. So that was kind of lucky for me. I don't really like having battle lines in the first slot because of R2, but luckily I do have steps as well. So I think that's going to counter having R2 on the other side of me. So I was pretty lucky here having the 3 things I didn't want in the very center.
All right. Keegan, blue player, what do you think you're cutting first?
Well, I'm looking at Josh's list, and basically all of my assumptions about the strengths of my list are starting to go out the window, and I need to be a lot cagier than I ever like to have to be. a couple of my absolute favorites are in the first column, but I worry about that second column because he's going to have that power over it, and I want to start forcing choices for him to
Mhm.
make on that. So I don't want to pass because I think that gives him a little too much control on the second veto, uh, and I'm going to try to force a choice early. And I'm actually going to kill supply drop here. I usually love supply drop with my heroes. It gives some great boosts, but I think that many B2s can also take advantage of supply drop, both in gaining the valuable cards and also he's hoping to take away back to capsules from
Mhm.
me. So I'm going to knock that out and go straight to limited, make him choose. Just because hostile, I'm pretty happy with hostile in the third position because again I can throw that suppression on R2 early on and just have him avoid terrain for the whole game.
Okay. So Blues cutting supply drop for their first choice. Josh, what do you got?
I'm actually going to go ahead and cut limited visibility and go towards hostile anyway, mostly because even though R2 is going to keep inconspicuous for most of the game, what the rest of his list is much more susceptible to suppression than mine, even though he does have Jin, and I'm sure he has Complete the Mission in there. Limited visibility, ironically, even though I'm carrying mostly units with range 1 to 2, because I have the HA cannons on the B2s and I have the stabs, that first round, I have a pretty good chance of taking a range 3 shot with those stabs if I wanted to. And the B2s can also take those range 3 shots. So I think I outrange Keegan here. And having limited visibility there, especially if we end up on battle lines or advanced positions, could be to my detriment. So I'm actually going to cut it this time and go towards hostile environment. I'm not sure there's a wrong choice either way right there, but what I don't want to do is go towards the middle on either of those. So, or on the deployments or the objectives. So I'm going to cut limited viz.
All right. So cutting limited visibility, going right to hostile environment. So right now we're playing hostile environment, and then we have battle lines and breakthrough. Keegan, are you going to cut battle lines for disarray or breakthrough for recover?
Yeah, I don't love the position I'm in. I don't think I'm necessarily terribly worse than I was, although hearing some of his reasoning, I'd hoped limited viz and the others would be a harder choice than than he made. I'm going to cut breakthrough here. I think of the objectives with those steps, breakthrough just is a clear advantage for him, and leaving that as an option on the table, especially if I were to pass and he were to go to disarray breakthrough, just feels pretty silly to me. So I'm going to cut breakthrough.
Okay. Cut and breakthrough. So we're playing hostile environment. We have battle lines and recover the supplies up. Josh, you going to cut anything or are you passing here?
Yeah, recover was the worst possible thing I could have seen here in the third slot, especially with Jin. I don't. The Staps can certainly handle some recover, but Jin can be tanky when she starts to get suppressed. And if I don't kill her quickly, it's going to be a pretty tough game for me, especially since I don't have a lot of long range shooting. So yeah, I'm cutting recover. Intercept greatly helps me here as well because I have a lot of beefy units that can hold up that center point, and it helps neutralize some of what R2 can do.
Okay.
So yeah, we're cutting and going to intercept.
All right. So so to wrap it up here, we've settled on our game. Keegan and his lost episode of Star Wars Rebels, they're going to try to overcome Josh's B2 spam on hostile environment, battle lines, and intercept the transmissions. Um, Keegan, how are you feeling about this?
I've got a game. I've got a game ahead of me. I think. I think battle lines and intercept I like because it still leaves room for some deployment. Uh, trick deployment, just cheekiness. It's not like we're starting on a major offensive or a long march or anything like that, where there's
Mm-hmm.
clearly a safe intercept point. I think while he does have the advantage of beefy units to hold, he is going to have to probably spread them out a little bit, or commit one way or the other, which could give me some advantages. I like battle lines for both R2 and the airspeeder, and while he can do just the same flanking with the stabs, I think I have a little bit of an advantage um, in the beefiness of that thing. Um, so it's gonna be a game. Uh,
Yeah, this seems like it would be a lot of fun. Josh, well, how do you feel now? You had the last choice, so is this what you wanted to
Uh,
play?
so I'm okay with the condition. I'm okay with the objective. I don't necessarily like the deployment, mainly because Keegan picked. I really think he picked the better board side here, especially for battle lines, which what I was a little bit concerned about. Uh, I think I'll be okay with this, mostly because one of the major issues that I was worried about is that I'm going to be pretty much in the open, but I outrange him. And so if this was a traditional gun line, I would be very worried. But I think I have a slight advantage here just because I have a lot of units that are difficult to kill. So I'm cautiously optimistic.
So let's go to the rest of the panel here. Mike, what do you think? What do you think of this?
Well, I think I'm going to see Josh in round 2.
You're not making it to round 2, man.
So, intercept kind of feels like a death blow for Keegan because Josh has impact 13 plus critical 6 per turn. That airspeeder is going to die, and it's going to die quickly. And Josh has all these extra bodies.
I'm not flying the airspeeder into the B2s.
They're going to get to you. It's only battle lines. You're not starting that far away. So between the flanking actions, the stabs that the HQ uplink can take to hit your home intercept point and the softer white saves underneath, I just don't see how you have the effective wounds to really hold that middle point.
Mm-hmm.
And while you can definitely get some nice alpha strike plays with maybe flanking a Mando or getting the T-47 into a really good position because it's one of your strengths, I don't know if you can hold it.
Yeah.
And that's my big concern is if we're going to be playing that full 6 turns and Josh has that double opportunity to score the middle, I don't see how the Rebels can compete there, especially when they're walking into the blast that the B2s are now going to be able to aim and shoot. I'm concerned. I think you have a chance, but I'm fully expecting to see a B2 army just entrench itself and not really be able to get out of it.
Yeah.
Rebels have hope. Rebellions are built on hope.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Still lost.
Copes, what do you think?
I mean, I hate to say it, Keegan, because I love you, buddy, but I kind of echo Mike's sentiment. I was looking at these battle cards, and I was just trying to think, like, if I'm Keegan, what do I do? And I don't know what the good answer is. Like the intercept I definitely feel favors the B2s, but you also don't want breakthrough. I think you made the right decision cutting breakthrough, and then I think Josh made the right decision immediately removing recover. And I think that's the story of this kind of battle deck draw is I think whatever you did, Josh would either delete the second one or just, if you passed, he'd pass. I think that the draw was an easy one for Josh, and I think it put you in a really tough spot because I think everything that you wanted to advantage your list was in that second column.
Yeah.
I got pretty lucky on that draw.
What?
It definitely didn't hurt
everything
you.
was in the second column. I was like, yes.
One thing that's interesting, Nick and I were talking when I built the list, putting objectives in. Intercept was kind of my, why not throw intercept in? The ones I felt strongly about were bombing run and breakthrough for the unit reasons and recover for similarly the unit reasons. And one thing that I'm thinking about now after this is maybe intercept has a lot of disadvantages for me in this one.
Like just thinking back to the list that I build, if I was playing you and you would obviously win the bid and this was the draw, I'd be vomiting everywhere having to play against any of this stuff against your list. So like a lot of this I think has to do with the list that you're up against.
100%.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So
You never know what you're going to face at a tournament.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in this week as we got to finish up our second turn 0 here. Thanks to Keegan, Josh, Mike, and Copes for making the list. And we'll see you soon.
See you later, guys.
Yes,
thanks for having
everyone.
me.
Good night.